right, my favorite people, Sterling White here, back at it again with another topic for you on why you'll regret buying a home in 20 TWO. So you'll definitely want to go ahead and stay tuned until the very end on this topic, because it turns out that what you think is an asset may actually be a liability. So as many of you, if you haven't already followed or read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, it goes into a house being a liability versus asset. And Grant Cardone shares this same sentiment as well. And part of the reason why myself is, as an investor, is I own where people pay me to live, and I rent where I actually live myself, which rolls into the first point of these are some reasons why you'll regret buying a home, is that for yourself to live in, is that the unforeseen costs that you may not just be aware of when it comes to owning and maintaining a house, such as the maintenance costs and the property upkeep, as well as the property taxes that you do have, as those will continually start to go up. And most people don't, and this is what I've actually studied, that they will buy a house that they can the most that they can qualify for. And so from that is they may not set aside costs or some funds to be able to take care of those ongoing maintenance issues, repairs that may come up to a particular house that you live in, because now this is your problem that you have to take on. So that's the first and foremost, is just the ongoing costs associated with owning and actually maintaining a property. The second is you're immobile, is you simply just cannot move. First, you have to sell the house first, which who knows how long that could take, just depending where the market and the cycle is. That if you have a opportunity somewhere else, you have to sell your house first, and you may not have enough equity that's in it, or you may be upside down, so you actually owe more than what the property is worth. And just with my age group, the millennials, is that they change jobs every so much more frequently than, let's say, the boomers and Gen Xers. And so from that, and the change of jobs could just due to lifestyle change, higher pay, different benefits, all these different things, and just causing people to more so just want to switch things up in general to be able to move up the corporate ladder, if that's their vision in which they go. Just people aren't staying at jobs as long as they used to at this moment. So you don't want to be stuck in a house that you're immobile, you're not mobile and be able to be agile. And in order for you to move, is that, okay, I've got to sell this house first, but I'm actually not able to sell this house just due to where the market is. The third point is that, and this is where it goes into it being a liability versus an asset, is that an asset's supposed to put money into your pocket, versus a house and a home takes money out of your pocket on an ongoing basis. And the benefits you could get from it, if you do have the equity, which some people don't decide to tap into it, is actually using a HELOC on it, and then now you're able to capitalize on that equity from that. But is you don't make money from your property until you actually sell it at that point in time. So these are all the things, but on an ongoing basis, is there's until you get up until that point of selling, or let's say getting a HELOC or refinancing, whatever the case is, that it's taking money out of your pocket from the ongoing maintenance that's involved with that, the property taxes, the time it takes to do the coordinating of, let's say, landscaping, all these things to maintain the actual property itself. And the last but not least is the time and energy, which is one thing that most people do not factor in, because time is your most valuable asset. And that was a game changer for me. I'm going to take a little quick segue on this when talking about time, when it comes to being able to buy time. And this was a concept that ended up from studying rich and wealthy people, is that I was at Kings Island. This was years ago. I was with my little brother, Brother because I'm a part of Big Brothers Big Sisters. It's an organization where you give back. I'm not pitching by any means. It's just an organization I volunteered to be a part of. And I had a little brother that was very similar upbringing to where I was in. We go to Kings Island, and I'm with my business partner Jacob, and he's got his little brother. He's the one that actually got me into it. I was like, hey Jacob, we've got to get the fast pass. He's like, no, they cost about double more. I was like, trust me, we'll want to get them. And so we end up getting the fast passes for all four of us, and then we end up getting we get at the park early, right as they open. And fast pass really weren't beneficial at that point in time, because when we would go in line, the fast pass line, the regular line wasn't that full either. But as it started to hit 11 a.m., 12, because we got there about 8:39, and then however as it got later in the day, the top rides were anywhere between an hour and a half to 2 hours. But guess what? The fast pass line was 15 minutes at best. And that's a prime example of rich people and wealthy people buying time as that example, that all those other people is that they said, oh no, the tickets cost double or a little bit more, we'll just go with a general admission. That wasn't the case. So I know I segued and went off topic on that, but that's a very important of that when it comes to time. But just going back to the home standpoint is that now it's time and energy. Let's say something goes out at the property. Now the toilet, for instance, is one, you have to spend the time to find a reputable plumber. And also it's going to be money to be able to have that fixed too. So you got your time as well as your energy, and you may have to manage that individual if it still happens to go wrong, that you have to recall them back up and have them come back out. You have to deal with all the issues of it still being out. Versus me, I'm a renter, something goes out, I just call the landlord, they come fix it, it's done. Sometimes it may come back up, but you get the point in that. So all in all, you guys, those are the reasons why you'll regret buying a house and a home to live in 20 TWO. And of course, there's pros and cons to each, because the side of renting is that people can say that, well, you're putting your money towards rent, you're not getting that back out at all. But versus when you have a house that you're living in, you're putting that towards a property that you own, and now you're paying down the principal to that, and you've got home ownership. So there's really pros and cons to each. I've just seen from personal experience and how I personally live that just there's way more cons with actually buying a house to actually live in versus the cons in just going out there and renting. And there's that. And also just not getting in the side of just being sold, because you have to consider that home ownership in a way is a product, and that who benefits, it's a whole economy around you buying an actual house. Banks win because they're providing financing to you. Realtors, agents, they get money, they get a commission on deals. So it's a whole economy as well. So I'm always a firm believer in just being aware of things that are going on out there, and because there's some conflict of interest at points in time. And I like to use the example that for when you're going to the doctor, for instance, is that when, let's say, some sickness or whatever it is they diagnose you with, is that oftentimes they'll say, okay, you want to, I can go ahead and prescribe you to this. But on the other side is that pharmaceutical companies are paying these doctors to be able to push certain prescriptions and products because they're getting paid in that. So there's a conflict of interest. Yes, they want to look out in your best interest, but also you got to understand humans, they're looking out more so in their best interest. So just being aware of certain things and just not simply following the crowd. So I appreciate you all so much. Go ahead, those of you on the YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. It would really mean the world to me. It takes less than a second, doesn't cost anything. And those of you who are on the podcast, leave that rating, whether you're on iTunes, World Star Hip Hop, SoundCloud. It would really mean the world. Thank you so much.